This is so stupid, bro. This is starting to really get on my nerves. Upcoming. What the living hell is going on right now? It's just making new streams. What the hell? It made a new stream. Bro, this is ridiculous. All right, well. It put us on another stream. So I'm going to go on the other one and tell you guys. All right, sorry about this. I'm going to delete this one. It's so weird, bro. It's so weird how that works. Is it doing 2 at a time? Nope. All right, guys, my bad. Don't know what the hell is happening. I'm deleting this video. See you guys. It will be gone. All right. Are we live, bro? All right, it says you guys are saying hi, so it looks like we're live. What the living hell was that? Yeah, bro, that was weird. That was very weird. I'm so sorry. I had an intro for you guys, everything. That was super weird, and everything went from our stream that we were doing and just made a new one. I don't know why that happened. You missed my intro. That really sucks, so let's restart it. You guys don't like when I waste your time, so I'm not going to waste your time. Giveaway is in 3 days for the members, for the community. Let's get to it. Thank you guys for being patient. No idea why it started a new stream. That's happened one other time. So let's get to it. Let's get this music going, or this sound going on here. I'm getting no sound. Hell's happening here?
Years.
There we go.
Was there ever a time to acquire some breaks during you?
Okay, here we go.
And ma'am, for the court and the jury's sake, you recently had some kind of an injury. Is that correct?
I had a surgery. I had some artificial disc put in my cervical spine, so my throat's a little scratchy and my neck's in some pain. But
and my understanding is you might require some breaks during your testimony for that reason.
Yes.
Okay. So I might invite you, as you feel like you need a break, please alert the court, and then the court will decide if and when to take a break.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ma'am, you're related to Chad Daybell?
I am. He's my brother-in-law.
Okay. And who are you married to?
His younger brother, Matt.
And may I ask, how long have you been married?
We'll be married 30 years this winter, but we started dating 35 years ago.
Would it be safe to say then you've been acquainted with and known Chad for roughly 35 years?
He was actually on his mission when Matt and I started dating, but I was still in high school and he came home.
Oh, more than 30 years?
Yeah, 30 years.
Was there ever a time since you've been married to Matt that you and Chad and Tammy had lived in the same town?
When Matt and I first got married, we lived in Springville where Chad and Tammy were for a short time.
About how long? The best you can recall.
Maybe that first year, I remember helping them move up to Ogden. I'm not exactly sure. It was early on in Matt and I's marriage.
And then was there any other time subsequent to that you and Chad lived in the same town?
Yes, when they moved to Rexburg in 2015.
So in between the time that they moved to Ogden and the time that they moved to Rexburg, how did you interact with them at family occasions and whatnot?
Yeah, when we'd get together, we'd talk with Tammy and Chad and their kids. Yeah.
Was that something that happened frequently, infrequently?
Probably several times a year. We'd get back to Springville. Not a lot, but we would several times a year.
From your perspective, was it a normal amount of contact?
I would say so, yeah.
So I just want to say for everybody, we did have a completely different stream that all of you guys were waiting for. Unfortunately, it had a tech issue. It said it would not upload, and so it basically just created its own new stream. It told me that yesterday, but I thought it would still work today, whatever the case is. But yeah, this is the stream of today, and I deleted the other one, so it'll just say live on the channel. One more thing I'll remind you, a lot of people have been telling me they're not getting notified. when we go live or anything, I think you have to turn on your post notifications. So if you're following the channel and you go to and press subscribe, there's a bell. You have to hit that, and then you have to turn it on in your settings on your phone, and it will let you know, because a lot of people are like, I'm not even knowing that you uploaded or went live or anything, and they're sad that they missed it. So that's just one more reminder.
I want to just stop now and ask, how would you describe the nature of your relationship with Chad?
In the beginning, when Matt and I first were married, it was normal as any in-law relationship would be. And then, like I said, we moved away. We didn't live close, but when we'd get together, we would talk mainly about his books. That seemed to be the topic most of the time of conversation, but I would say cordial and nothing out of the ordinary.
At any point, did the nature of your relationship with him change?
It did,
When
yes.
did it change?
2014, when he started talking about end of times events and discussing a book that he had published for Julie Rowe.
We'll come back to that, but how did the relationship change at that point?
I was concerned about the things that he was telling the family and telling Matt and I. I was not comfortable with what he was informing us with.
Will you please elaborate to the jury, what were the things that Chad was saying or teaching you that caused you the concerns?
He indicated that there would be an earthquake that would be happening in 2015, and he was kind of making us aware and preparing us for all of these end times events that were going to happen and cause a lot of destruction in Utah, in particular Salt Lake area.
Did he?
Why? What is the obsession with people with the end of times of like being right about the events? Have you guys ever seen that movie with the guy from the 90s is the dad? It's 2012. Have you seen that movie? In that movie, it's like the extreme version of the end of the world, and it's basically Noah's Ark at the end of all things. And but there's like an obsession, like there's people in that movie that I think Woody Harrelson is one of the people in that movie that like is a nut job of a person who's like obsessed with like calling events, and then he like goes and stays at Yellowstone because he thinks that's where the volcanic thing is going to happen, and like all the tectonic plates and all that stuff. But like the point, I bring it up because there's so many people who are so stuck on like the end of the world, but it's not just the end of the world, it's what they think exactly is going to happen. And I think it's such a weird thing for Chad to be so obsessive about dates and times and exactly what's going to happen. Like this thing is going to happen. Like some people think it's a plague, some people this and that. It's just ridiculous, but he was always wrong. So what do you do when you're wrong? Well, it wasn't today. It's actually, this year, it's next year. I'm sorry. That's, like what happens when it doesn't happen?
He explained to you why he believed those events would occur?
Those were events that Julie Rowe had seen in a near-death experience. And so he had talked about those things with her as he published her book. And then he indicated he was seeing those things in vision as well.
So Chad is someone who had expressed to you and your family these visions that he had?
Mm-hmm. That he could see beyond the veil and see future events.
Were there other things that he explained to you that caused you concern, other teachings in addition to that?
At that point, it was mainly that. It was just these end of times events and when they would happen.
Yes, do not get on the boat. And secondly, I'll tell you guys one thing that Lori did that was really scary for Kelsey and I. She pulled us into the office and she started talking about, this is what I mean by shutting her down. She pulled us into the office and she said that all the planets were like, for the first time in a long time, were aligned. And my first thought was, have you guys ever seen the cartoon movie Hercules, the Disney movie? I grew up watching that. And in that movie, when the Titans are released from the Earth is when a planets align. And that was my first thought that came to me. I'm pretty sure I said something, but she was going on and on and on about how this is like an actual event. And I think there was an eclipse the year that Kelsey and I were first dating too. So they used moments and signs and like other parts of like natural phenomenon to basically try to convince you that other things were happening. But I did not know that Julie Rowe was the visionary here. If you've ever seen Julie Rowe, if you haven't seen our Netflix documentary, she's in it briefly. By the way, I was not someone that was supposed to be there, but they pulled her for their own sake. So that was not me. Promise you that. There's a lot of people in there that I was like, what the are you thinking bringing them in here? But whatever. She's in it, and it's the first time I'd ever really heard her speak or talk. And like I told you, I feel like her beliefs and what she was saying is as nutty as a jar of Jif. All right. let's keep going.
Later, were there other teachings or things that he would say to you or your family that caused you concern?
When he informed us he was thinking of moving his family to Rexburg in 2014, or 15, whenever that was, it started, we actually had a conversation with him asking him exactly what it
Because
was
he's
he thought was
100%
going.
right. I was really nervous about Kelsey's reaction to that.
To happen, and we had a pretty detailed conversation.
I'd like to pause you there. To the best you can recall, can you tell the jury when did that conversation occur?
That conversation was when they came out, Chad, Tammy, and some of their children came out to Rexburg to look for homes. And Matt and I sat with Chad in our home. That would have been summertime 2015.
And what happened in that conversation?
It was, excuse me, it was asking him point blank to give us the details of why he felt he needed to make this move. And he indicated that, and in particular, the houses that he was looking at were very close to our home, and we had some concerns with that. He told my husband and I that we would become great leaders in this gathering of people that would happen because of all the destruction in Utah, that our land where we lived would help in that, and that our home would become like a church or a temple. He was telling us those kinds of things. And that he felt like he needed to be in Rexburg with his family because the headquarters in Salt Lake of the church would end up having to move to Rexburg when all this destruction happened.
Did he ever explain to you whether he had seen or believed that he would have any kind of a significant role in this?
Mainly just that he would be helping in this gathering of people with their tents and everything, that he would be helping in that cause.
So based on
this
what he was
homie had a end of the world fetish. I don't know why, because the end of the world would not be fun. I don't understand the obsession with it, but whatever.
telling you, did he perceive his need to move to Rexburg to be something he could do to fulfill his role?
Yes, that he had a part to play in that. Mhm.
Did you believe these visions or teachings at the time that Chad was sharing?
No, I did not.
Then help the jury understand, why was that a concern to you? If you didn't believe them, why was it concerning?
Because he had let us know he was going to let people be knowing of this with Julie Rowe's book, and trying to prepare people as all this destruction happened, that's why he was coming, and that he felt that we were going to be helping in that cause.
So further, if you don't believe them, why was there a concern that you had that he would be telling everybody about this?
Because in the belief system I had at that time in the LDS church, just some average person doesn't get information specific like that to share with others. In my belief at the time, we had a prophet of the church that would let us know if we needed to do anything to prepare for something like that. So in my understanding and how I had been taught, it wouldn't come through someone like Chad.
So let me ask you this
And
way.
that's exactly how it should have been for everyone else. That's why I'm so confused. Like, that just to me is just rationale. Like, if you say you believe in the LDS church, why are you not going with your belief system in the church? If it goes completely against your church, but they're saying they are also members of that church, but you know what I mean? Like, it contradicts all of the things you believe. Why wouldn't you check that? And that's why I always she's the only rational person that I've heard talk that knew anything about Chad.
If you didn't believe these things, why do you need to care about it if he's out teaching this stuff to people?
Because my opinion was that was incorrect, and that he was spreading that around to other church members. And that's, as I was taught, you don't do that.
Okay. So during this conversation that you were referring to in your home, did you ever confront Chad or tell him that you don't believe these things?
I did. I told him that I wasn't feeling good about what he was saying, and that I did. I was very blunt. I just flat out said, I don't believe what you're saying.
What was his reaction to you?
Chad doesn't show a lot of reaction, so it was just, okay, that was about it. He didn't argue or anything like that.
Yeah, because he's
Did you
a psychopath. Have you ever seen someone so void of emotion? Have you ever seen someone so void of any kind of feelings or reactions or anything? I don't think I have. I really, truly don't think I've seen someone as Chad is. Not that dead inside. Besides Dexter.
Concerns about whether or not he should move near you?
Yes, Matt and I both did that. We decided years and years ago that we wanted to live apart from family. We do better that way as a couple, and had made a home for ourselves in Rexburg. We'd been in the area 15 years at that point. And we did express to him as he was looking at homes near us that if he needed to move to Rexburg, that was fine. Please just move somewhere not right in our neighborhood and not in our ward.
Why was it important to you that he not move in your neighborhood and ward?
Because I knew why he was coming, and I didn't want him trying to draw in people from my ward and having people associate his close proximity to us that we were involved or agreed with him.
Would it be fair to say, were there reputational concerns for you and your family?
We've built a business in
I'm actually pretty, I want to know what his brother thinks. I don't know why this is the first time I've ever really connected that Chad had a brother. I don't know why, but brother-in-law, she said he's her brother-in-law, and then I realized she said younger brother, and I don't know why that just clicked to me that he has a brother.
We've made a good name for ourselves and didn't want there to be issues because of what Chad was coming with.
How did the conversation end?
We had gone and looked at homes. The conversation at that point, they said they didn't find a home that they liked. And so they just kind of put it all on pause, asked if they could store their stuff in a shed or something at our house in case they needed to quickly come to Rexburg. They'd have some supplies there. And we told them they could do that. So when they left from that trip, we were under the impression that they wouldn't be moving soon.
Excuse me. So having explained all this at that point, how would you then describe your relationship with Chad at that point?
I was relieved at that point, so I kind of didn't worry about it because he indicated.
She's the only rational person, obviously, besides all the like other people. Obviously, just out like so far besides Kay and Brandon. Obviously, you guys know what I mean. But like, just someone who actually even knew Chad a little bit. She's the only one that has said, "Hey, this doesn't make sense, and what you're saying I don't like." And yeah, I wouldn't want if my brother said some stupid shit like this. I'd be like, dog, you're not moving near me. I don't want you. I don't want to be associated with you. Because seriously, like this is going to make me look like a nut job, and I don't even agree with you.
They wouldn't be coming. So, but to me, it felt, I don't know if I'd even say, well, it was strained. It was strained at that point. I was struggling.
How was it strained? Could you explain that?
Again, it was just my concerns with his trying to convince his family and others that these events were going to happen. And so as he wasn't going to let up on that he was quite certain. We asked him, is this happening? And he said, this is happening. And so.
May I interrupt you?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by this is happening?
All of these events, the earthquake and everything, that those things were happening in 2015.
Did you later learn that he and Tammy did have immediate plans to move to Rexburg?
It was shortly after that. I can't remember for sure. It was about a week or two. We did get a phone call that they had put an offer on the home that they bought and that they were moving.
And approximately when did that happen?
That would be summer 2015.
It's crazy because that's Lori though. Like Lori, I'm connecting a lot of dots. Lori though was this way as well. Just part of the abuse side from Lori to me, by the way, was stuff like get into as much, I kid you not, I've told you guys this before, but she said, get into as much debt as you need, take out as many loans, student loans, whatever you want to do. Don't worry about it because the world's going to end. That was her advice for life, for me. Do whatever because the world's going to end. And I grew up with this. This was not new. So obviously her and Chad had that same kind of like calling out the events. Lori's was mostly self stuff. And then she started doing the end of the world thing. And we did the food storage. And I personally had to move their houses and help them move almost every time they did and pick up that food storage with my bare hands and move it. And it was a lot of water. She was just obsessed with the idea of the end. So something about them is intangible. I want to know why the end of the world was such a fascination. Why? Like, why the book of Revelation? Why the 144,000? What was that obsession with that specific event on both sides before they ever met? And I never connected the dots of how much they both thought this way before they met, right? I think a lot of people think it's that idea of like the match and the flame that made them explode, which it did. But they both did feel this way before these events happened. So Chad back in 2015. The weird thing is, so was Lori. But guess who the fucking... sorry, I need to calm down. I don't need to say the F word to say this. Guess who the common denominator is between the two? Julie freaking Rowe. They both were talking. Well, Lori was reading her books before I think she ever knew who Chad was. I told you I'd heard this name, and this is when Lori was getting more spiritual. And there was Chad with Julie Rowe. Coincidence? I think not.
I can't remember exactly if it was July, August. I don't remember for sure.
When you found out about that, what was your reaction? What did you do?
I cried. I was very upset. Asked my husband to please talk him out of it. But the home was already in process of being bought at that point. So there wasn't anything that I could do about it.
And we'll come back to that for a moment. Can you please explain to the jury what, at the time that Chad started having these visions and sharing them in 2014 or 15, what was your relationship like with Tammy?
About the same. We were cordial and friendly, and when we'd see each other at family events, we would visit, just normal.
Did that ever change?
Once they moved to Rexburg, because she knew we weren't happy about that move, we talked and things as they moved, and I tried to do a few things to help her. So I wouldn't say off the bat that it was strained with Tammy. That progressed as time went on.
And likewise, to go back on something you mentioned, I think you said Chad was teaching these things to his own family.
That's the understanding I had, yeah.
Did you ever get any sense of whether or not his wife and children were believing these things?
Trust me, I know. Don't even get me started on the documentary. I can't.
In a conversation I had with Chad and Tammy, it was Chad that indicated that he would come home with these visions and he'd say new things, and she'd kind of look at him and roll her eyes, but then she would go pray on it and get an answer that he was right. So especially concerning the move to Rexburg, she indicated that's how.
You know what? Okay, and I'm going to say this because I just don't care. And this is where we need to have our critical thinking, and I want all of my fellow everybody to think this way, especially when it comes to spiritual stuff. I don't like the idea that it's the freedom to go and choose because, like we talked about before, sometimes when it comes to church, sometimes it's like, well, if you get a conflicting answer than someone you care about, love, or your leader, or whatever the case is, then it's kind of like a bad deal. So almost feels like if someone says, well, I feel this way and I'm your leader, but go pray about it. But if I get an opposite feeling, it puts me in a really bad position because whatever I do opposes your thought process or opposes this. So I don't feel like it is free will. It's almost like a fake free will. It's almost like you're in a cage, but yeah, go ahead and walk around. That's kind of what I feel like that is sometimes. So really what the reason I'm saying that is really pray and discern for yourself and really discern situations with like really think and pray about it for you and don't let a lot of people influence you to do that. And don't just be a follower, really follow through and think and really spend your time. And if you do have a bad feeling, really go into why and don't gaslight yourself. So that's just some advice and thought.
That he would come home with things should be
sustained.
Yeah. Did you get any of this information from Chad or was it just from Tammy?
Well, the information of him receiving visions and bringing it to her and her kind of rolling her eyes, that was from Chad. He said that to me.
Okay. Did he explain that Tammy would ever change her mind?
I don't recall him saying she'd change her mind. I don't recall that.
Just based upon your interaction then, did you ever come to believe that Tammy was accepting of his visions?
I took it, yes, that she was. After some time, if it was something that seemed off to her, strange, she'd pray about it and then get a confirmation.
That right there. That right there bothers me because Tammy already felt it, but what is she supposed to do? That's her husband. So you want to believe your husband. Like you're trying to get on board with it. You're trying to support him. And it's brainwash almost in a sense. Let's just put it out there. Let's just say what it is. Like a lot of these things that happen are brainwash because somebody just keeps repeating them and that kind of thing. It's brainwash. And that was what he was doing to her specifically.
It's an objection, I suppose, based on hearsay. So that's sustained.
So, ma'am, with respect to the children, did you ever have any, based on observations and interactions, not what they may have said, Did you ever come to get a feel or believe whether or not they were accepting of their father's visions?
From my observation, yes, they all believed his visions.
Did that appear to be true with all the children?
Yes.
Was there ever a time that Chad tried to engage your children and explain these visions to them?
Yes, my second child, my oldest son, came to Matt and I. This would have been 2014-ish, maybe. Chad had approached him and told him that he would be a leader in this.
No, I'm busting ass over that. You're not gonna come and tell my kids stupid frickin' fantasies about their mission and their calling.
This is Mr. Wixom, response to that objection, please.
Judge, really, it's just going to state of mind, not to any truth of any visions, just simply how it's impacting her son, whether he believed these things. It's under 8033.
It's objection is overruled. On a hearsay objection, it's overruled, so you can continue.
Thank you. You may answer.
So he just came to us. He was uncomfortable that Chad had approached him. And so in a later conversation, I did confront Chad on that and asked him not to approach my children.
How did Chad react to that confrontation?
Same way. Okay.
Yep. No thought. Like you didn't do anything wrong. Like you're going and telling people falsehoods. Like he really was casting a net. I see it now. He really, really was trying to go and gather people under his thought process. He wanted to be a leader and he wanted to get people to follow him and believe him. And he was willing to do it to children who he knew didn't know better. He knows that. He's not stupid.
Was there ever a time that you had any confrontations with Chad in your backyard?
We had, once they had moved to Rexburg, so again, summer of 2015, shortly after that, I was concerned for Tammy and wanted to know how she was doing. So we asked Chad and Tammy to come over and have a visit with us. And he indicated that that would be fine, but to direct our questions or whatever we wanted to say at Chad and not at Tammy, because she would get upset at us if we directed anything at her.
Had you had any history prior to that with Tammy getting upset with you about anything?
That's controlling at its finest. Or even manipulation. I don't know if she was being controlled, but that is pure manipulation. Make sure she doesn't even get a chance to speak her mind because she'll just get upset. So just make sure Chad gets all the questions only.
No.
And to be clear, it was Chad who gave you this instruction?
Yes.
So in that conversation, did you follow Chad's instruction to only talk to him, or did you talk directly to Tammy?
I did not follow that instruction. Tammy was a grown woman, so I directed my questions at her.
I like Heather. I really like Heather. I really like her.
Had you prior to that or since then, ever seen any other behavior that may have caused you concern between Chad and Tammy?
No, they seemed like a happy couple.
Before or since that, did Chad ever try to stop Tammy from talking or others from talking directly to her?
Not that I'm aware of.
So that was the only incident?
Mm-hmm.
How did he react when you continued to address Tammy?
Pretty typical. He didn't react. We just had a conversation. He didn't seem upset or anything that I was talking directly to her.
What was the result of that conversation with Chad and Tammy?
My main intent for that conversation was to ask if Tammy was doing okay with the move.
The robot from iRobot with Will Smith has more feelings and thought than Chad Daybell. Tell me I'm wrong. Freaking Sonny from iRobot has more of a human behavior than this man. Just saying.
I knew she was initially not wanting to move to Rexburg, and she again said she had prayed about it and felt like it was a good thing for their family. So said okay, and then talked a little bit further with Chad about his visions and things. And I again said I don't have any confirmation in myself that any of that's true or going to happen.
Did you get any indication from Chad's responses or reactions to you rejecting his beliefs? Did that affect him in any way that you could tell?
No, there's usually very little reaction. So it was just kind of nods, and that was it.
So how long after that was it that they'd actually moved into your neighborhood?
To me, it seems like weeks. It was pretty recently after they moved. I don't remember exactly, summer of 2015.
How far away was their home from yours?
It's about a half a mile. You just go to the end of our street and turn onto Salem Highway, and they're about a half a mile down the street.
Can you see each other's
That's
home?
really close. And you specifically said you would not like to be close. And they just ignored that.
From standing outside? Do you have that vantage point?
No, you'd have to go to the highway to see their house because there's a bend. So not directly from my house, but once you turn onto the highway.
I do. Okay.
it's
And I
right
have to
there.
ask
But if
this
you wanted
question.
to walk, you're estimating half of a mile.
My one question is, was Chad trying to create the FLDS idea and have the multiple wives? That has to be a part of this. There's something about him and indoctrinating women, and like something about his thought process, I swear, has to be in that ideal realm of like multiple wives. I really do think that that's a part of this whole thing, because it's all women mostly. He goes at specifically women, other than Alex, which Alex is just an absolute idiot who followed Lori like a dog. So, I mean, it doesn't really count.
Mile?
Mhm.
Is that a yes for the record?
Yes, I've actually timed that because I walk that road. So it's a half a mile.
And once they actually moved there, did you have regular interaction? Did you ever go to the home?
I went, when they initially moved, I went once or twice. I took Tammy some bread. I called her, gave her some suggestions of doctors and dentists and things like that. And I remember going to watch Emma speak in church. We had a homecoming thing. I tried to support their kids where I could. So I was in their home a few times initially.
I can see this dude right now. I've been called by God to have 10 wives. It's just a burden I put on myself.
Are you safe to say that you were in their home enough that if I showed you some photographs that you'd be able to recognize those photographs of their home?
Yeah.
Your Honor, at this time, I have what is marked as the state's proposed exhibits 420D. They are not stipulated. I'd like to offer those and ask that they be handed to the witness. I've got 2 copies for the court, one for the defense, if I may.
I'll take a look at them. Thank you.
What's up, Celeste? Yeah, I'm telling you, something about the relationship. There's something there. I'm telling you, I just feel it. You can see it. There's something about him. So you guys know that the FLDS cult branch off of LDS Church kept the original LDS Church's ideas of multiple marriages. It's really interesting, the timing of that, but it's another topic for another day. But the LDS Church's original rule or like thought was like polygamy, right? Well, then what happened was America in that time was actually like the federal government was going at the church for polygamy. So they wanted to go create their own place in Utah, and that way they could do what they wanted, but the federal government said, no, we're not doing that. And so the LDS Church actually like went out and made a statement and said, we're no longer practicing polygamy. We don't do that anymore. Well, the LDS Church, the FLDS Church was actually really upset because the entire time up until that point, it was actually like salvation. Like you had to be in multiple marriages, multiple wives, and practice polygamy to become eligible to go to heaven. And so Chad has a lot of that FLDS kind of idea, and they branched off and went into their own way. And the thing that's so sick about them, right, is that you guys have heard of Warren Jeffs. We've compared Chad and Warren Jeffs before just because they are very similar. And they go out and they marry little 13-year-old girls and 14-year-old girls, talking about how this is God's will. They completely bend the arm and cult use religion and bend the arm and are freaking pedophiles. Like that's just what it is. It's the honest to God truth. They're sick, and they use this idea that you have to marry this one guy, gets to have as many wives as he wants, which if you go back and look at your church history, a lot of the prophets had a lot of multiple wives to a certain point. And we're talking upper of like 50s, like 50 wives. I can't barely handle one. You're talking about 50. I don't even know. But Chad must have had that part of him, because I swear to you, something about him has always made me wonder, because he cheated on his wife, obviously, how many times and people he did want over time that was that selfish desire, but he found someone absolutely dumb enough, Lori, to follow and go actually be there with him. You know what I mean? But it's always been a thought. I don't know.
standing from the vantage point of that camera, would this accurately reflect a depiction of Chad's house?
Yes, it does.
You know, well, can I ask you to please turn to the next photograph? And please look at the back of the first one. And for the record, just note what the number is on the back, please.
Back of the first one, 420A.
Thank you. Now, as to the second photograph, why don't we start by referencing the number on the back of that, please?
This is 420B.
And on 420B, what do you see in that photograph?
Some musical instruments.
Where are the musical instruments at?
It appears to me up in,
Yeah, at this point, for just foundation, Mr. Rickson, we need to determine if these are coming in before we get testimony off of what they're showing.
Certainly. Ma'am, without referencing them, we just take a quick look at the other two photographs attached.
Cozy cone. Cozy cone from Cars?
okay,
Again, without going into what they are, do you recognize those photographs?
yes, I
Is that
do.
what you mean?
And have you seen the rooms depicted in those photographs?
Yes,
Have you been in them before?
yes,
Do they accurately depict the inside of Chad's home?
yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move to admit states 420A through D.
Any objection? All right, and please turn your microphone on, Mr. Pryor.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Daybell, the first picture shows a musical set. Do you know whose musical set that is?
I can only assume. I don't know for sure.
So you've never seen that musical set in that room before, is that right?
I have seen musical.
That's like asking me whose sock is in that room. That's the stupidest shit you could have ever asked. That is she's not monitoring the house to know who bought what. Oh, is that your trumpet?
instruments up in that room shortly after they moved in.
Okay, but did you see this musical set in that room? And did you actually see this picture?
I've never seen this picture until now.
Okay. Let's go to the next picture. Did you ever see that picture?
I have not seen this picture before.
Let's go to the third picture. Have you ever seen the third picture?
No, I haven't.
So what you are familiar with is, you described it as an add-on. Is that correct?
Yes,
This isn't part of the structure. It's attached to the garage. Is that correct?
Well, you would know. It's your freaking property. It was for a minute.
yes. My understanding is this cozy cone add-on it is attached to the garage. It was added to the garage.
Oh, a cozy cone is an add-on? I thought you guys were talking about the freaking hotel from Cars.
The back of the garage.
Yes,
Okay. So it's not part of the original structure of the home where to your knowledge, where the members of that household live, slept, and eat. Is that correct?
Judge, at this time, I'd object. This is going outside the purpose of a voir dire and aid.
Judge, I'm going to object to the admission of these exhibits.
Stupid ass.
Response from the state. It's just on admissibility, not on what they're showing.
Your Honor, at this time, this witness has indicated through testimony that she has been in this home more than once. She's already looked at the photos. She can recognize the photos. She said that they accurately depict what is contained in the photos, and I believe that sufficient foundation has been laid.
All right, the court's considered the objection. I'm going to sustain the objection as it relates to exhibits B, C, and D. However, on exhibit A, I think adequate foundation was laid. So exhibit A is going to be admitted. The other three, the objection is sustained based on the testimony of the witness in the voir dire and aid of objection.
Your Honor, at this time, may I request to have exhibit 420A handed to me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. Danielle, it's coming.
Your Honor, may I have permission to publish this to the jury at this time?
Yes. You
And are you sure that Melanie Gibb was not in that cozy cone at one time? Are you just speculating, Judge? And you know how he does this? He goes like this every time. You want me to be prior right now? And so you've never seen this, have you? And just stares off like he slayed it. Come on now. You're not killing anything over here. Couldn't kill a butterfly.
Yeah, I'd like to do that via the Elmo.
Aw, Julie, that's cute. See, that's why when you said cozy cone, I thought
Ma'am, I'd
Disney
like you to
too.
go ahead and take a look at that screen, please. What do you see?
the back of Chad's home.
You've used the term cozy cove. Am I saying that right?
Cozy cone is how I understood it from his kids. Yeah.
And what does that mean, cozy cone?
From my understanding, it was referencing the cones in Cars Land, Disneyland movie. They had cones they called cozy cones. That was my understanding. It was kind of their nickname for that part of the house.
See,
And have there been
I told you. That's exactly what I thought.
occasions where you've been in the house and you've either been in or seen inside the cozy cone?
Yes.
So you're familiar with that?
Yes.
Could you describe what that cozy cone is, what the room's like, what it is?
From the time I went in, it was again shortly after they moved in. You go through the house. There's the garage and everything. It's towards the back. You turn and you go up some stairs to get to the upper room of that cozy cone.
Have you ever had opportunity to make observation of whether or what that room is used for?
At that time, my understanding, it was all those instruments were Chad's son Mark's, that he's a musician, and that's where he was keeping his instruments.
Based on personal knowledge only, what you know or don't know, did you ever have any other understanding of what that room may have been used for?
It was my understanding that once Garth moved to Rexburg, that was his room up there. That's what I was told.
Are you aware of any other purposes for that room?
No.
And I think you said you had to go.
That house doesn't even exist anymore, but every time I see it, I feel an absolute darkness there. Absolute darkness.
Up some stairs to access it?
You do, yes.
Were you familiar with where Tammy and Chad's bedroom were in that home?
Yeah, you'd go through the front door. They had a front living room, then just a hallway, and there were some bedrooms. I'm not exactly sure which bedroom was theirs, but their bedroom was down in the main part of the home.
So if you want to leave their bedroom and go to the cozy cone or vice versa, you'd have to go up or down some stairs?
Yes, you would.
Do you say vice versa or vice versa?
Sorry,
I say
Your Honor,
vice
I
versa.
finished this exhibit.
All right, thank you.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm genuinely curious how people say stuff. I always have said vice versa.
Yep.
Stop whispering.
Ma'am, going back to this meeting that you had with Chad right before they actually moved, reference to that time, it was in 2015, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Were there any other interactions that you had with Chad and Tammy between that time and the time that Tammy passed?
Yeah, we would see them because they had moved into our neighborhood and our ward. They were in our ward at church, so I would see them typically once a week at church on Sunday.
And did you have interactions with him in the normal course at church?
I tried not to. So, but if I saw Tammy or the kids, I'd say hi and stop and see how they're doing.
Why were you trying not to?
Because I was upset at Chad for having moved his family into our ward when we specifically asked him not to do that.
You know, the dick move, bro. She said, don't come over here. Don't do that.
I want to draw your attention now back to October of 2019. Do you recall learning of Tammy's death?
Yes, I do.
And where were you and how did you learn of her death?
Matt and I were at a work conference in Las Vegas, and we're in our hotel room the morning of October 19th when Matt got a phone call from his parents letting him know that Tammy had passed away. And they didn't know much, but they would call us when they had more information, but just letting us know she had passed.
How did you react to that information and that phone call?
I was very upset.
Other than just grief, was there anything else causing you to be upset?
Just not knowing what happened, having no information, and just she couldn't understand what would have happened.
So what did you do in reaction to that, being upset?
I called Chad myself.
When did you call him?
It would have been, I'm not sure, around maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. Matt had
Dude,
left
Heather's a total badass. She goes and gets it. She knew it was wrong. She knew something was going on, and she went head on.
for his conference. Chad picked up and I expressed my condolences and shock at hearing that Tammy had passed. And I just asked him what happened to her.
Would that have been 9 or 10 in the morning the same day?
Yes, on October 19th.
And can you please tell the jury how that call went? What did you first say and how did Chad respond?
So just expressing my sympathy and shock that Tammy had passed away, and asked him what had happened, if he could explain to me what had happened.
What did he say?
He said that Tammy had not been feeling well, that she, about 10 o'clock at night, started coughing pretty hard and then got to sleep. And then about midnight, she started coughing again hard enough that she vomited, got her settled down. And then he said at 6 a.m, he'd slept from midnight to 6 a.m, and woke up because the sheet that was on him had come off of him, and he heard a thud, and that woke him up. And he went to the other side of the bed and saw that Tammy had fallen off the bed, and he described her as she had died. She had been gone for a little while because she was hard. And so he called to Garth to come in and help him get Tammy back on the bed.
How did you react to that explanation
To
of things?
unalive your spouse, come up with a story, and then involve your son is insane. And he's a piece of shit. And we know that's not what happened. So yeah. Yeah, just like Lori though, right? Come up with some bullshit story that you can tell everybody different versions of at some point that you probably want to believe. I mean, think about how long they thought about these stories before it happened. Think about the premeditation of the story itself. So that way they could lie their asses off to their family, to their kids, to anybody who wasn't there. Think about the premeditation behind that. That's the sickest part. And then to have the audacity to say it as if that's what happened.
But the whole time he was explaining that, it felt scripted to me, he was reading it or something. It just felt very scripted. It was the word that came to my mind, and it made me feel very uneasy.
Did you say anything to him about that scripted feeling or anything else?
I did not. I asked him if he was going to have an autopsy done to find out why she had passed, and he said no, that a coroner had come and looked at Tammy and could clearly see that there was matter in her throat, that's why she had died, as she had coughed hard and thrown up, and that had caused her death. So there was no need for an autopsy.
That's like something that would happen in Breaking Bad when Jesse's girlfriend died because she was on heroin. Like, you don't just throw up in your sleep most of the time and pass away. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm no expert, so I can't speak to that, but it's so stupid. It's such a damn lie, and it's ridiculous, and that's not what happened.
And that was Chad's explanation to you. Sorry.
Yes, it was.
What else did you talk about in that conversation?
He informed me that the funeral would be in 2 days. And I said, well, Matt and I aren't even home. We're in Las Vegas. Can you wait so we can get home? Matt had another brother that was out of town as well, and just said, can you wait till we can all get home to be to the funeral? And he said, no, we're just going to get it done.
Uh-huh.
Did you say any follow-up in that conversation about that?
I said, okay, we will buzz back and get to the funeral.
And in fact, did you do that? Did you attend the funeral?
We did, yes.
And where was the funeral at?
The funeral was in Springville, Utah.
What observations did you make, if any, at the funeral?
The main thing I remember, the program was just Chad and his children, and the bishop spoke at the end. And the thing that stuck out was the opening song was "Put Your Shoulder to the Wheel." I have never heard that song used at a funeral, so that seemed strange to me.
Related to that, at the time, were you serving a calling in the LDS Church?
All right, so "Push Your Shoulder to the Wheel" is an LDS song, and the song goes, "Put your shoulder to the wheel, push along with your heart full of song. We all have work, we all have praise. Put your shoulder to the wheel." It's about like working hard. It's like a work song. Like, keep pushing, keep going hard. The f is going on?
I was. Yeah.
What was that calling you had?
A Stake Relief Society president.
Having had that calling, were funeral plans something you were familiar with?
Yes.
So you were familiar with typical LDS culture and how they might proceed with the funeral?
Yes.
Okay. Why was it so unusual to pick that song, "Put Your Shoulder to the Wheel"?
Because that song is describing, put your shoulder to the wheel, push along, do your duty with a heart full of song. It's about working. It's just about work. So that was strange to me at a funeral.
Okay. Anything else that you observed at the funeral that concerned you or you thought may have been unusual?
Mm-hmm. Just watching Chad as he spoke, and maybe it's just the way that he cries, but it seemed like he'd turn it on and turn it off and turn it on.
Because he has no human emotion. We've talked about this in the Psycho video. When someone is literally a sociopath or a psychopath, they genuinely do not have the feelings. So they mimic human behavior like a robot would. Like freaking Sonny did in the movie I, Robot. I'm not playing with you right now. This is how people like this are more like robotic. They don't know how to actually display human emotion, so they mimic it. And that's why they do what they do, is because they don't have it. So they have to pretend, and you can feel it because it's not genuine. And we all can feel when something's not genuine. There's something in you that just goes off like an alarm. You know it's not genuine. And she knew.
Crying. So it, to me, came across as kind of disingenuous.
Anything else?
No.
And had you attended the viewing the night before?
I remember attending a viewing. I believe it was that morning. I'm not exactly sure on that. But I
Did-
did attend a viewing, yes.
Thank you. Did you notice
Exactly.
anything-
It's on Trek. Exactly. Because you don't sing that song at a funeral because it's not really applicable. And we all know that the funerals, everyone knows this about funerals, is that funerals are for the living. They're for the people who are grieving. So you would think, as the coordinator, as the husband, that you would want to put together beautiful music that is fitting for the moment, not a song about work. That's like if I died and then Kelsey turned on Work by Rihanna. It just doesn't fit, does it? Okay.
unusual at the viewing or concerning?
Kind of just observing Chad and his children. Again, it was strange to me that Chad could be smiling and seeing people and smiling and seemed to be doing well, and then crying all of a sudden. It was a strange. His demeanor seemed strange to me.
Later, was there any kind of a luncheon that you attended?
Yeah, after the service, there was a luncheon. We all got there and Chad was late. That's what I remember from the luncheon, is that we weren't sure where Chad was.
Why did
He'd been cheating with Lori the whole time. Couldn't wait to get married. Did it a few weeks later. This is really effed up to hear the perspective of being at the funeral. People are grieving. People loved her. And she's completely just dehumanized by the people who matter.
his lateness stand out to you?
Because it's his own wife's luncheon for her funeral. So I assumed he would be there with everyone else.
Do you recall how late he was?
I don't recall how late he was. I just remember that his brother-in-law, Jason, stood up and said, "We're just going to get started. Chad's not here yet, but we're going to get started."
When Chad did arrive, did you observe anything about his demeanor or behavior there?
Yeah, it just seemed like a normal day. Like I wouldn't have guessed that he had just days previous lost his wife. He just didn't seem upset.
At that point, at that luncheon or later, did you have any further conversation with Chad about how Tammy had died?
Not at that point.
Did you at some point?
Yes, a few weeks later.
Can you explain first, when did that interaction occur and how did it occur? Was it in person?
And
on the phone?
this is exactly why Chad hated her. She's evil because she was not buying his absolute bullshit stories. That's why he said she's evil against me. These accusations make me sick. You should make yourself sick.
Was on the phone.
About how long after the luncheon?
That would have been, I think, around in the middle of November. So 3 to 4 weeks after the funeral.
Why were you speaking to Chad on the phone for that occasion?
I had received a phone call from a member of our ward, Alice Gilbert.
Sustain.
Excluding any statements from other people besides Chad, why were you talking to Chad that day?
Because I had learned that he had gotten remarried and that his children were struggling and upset. So I reached out in a group text to his children and let them know that I was there for them if they needed me, that they were upset.
Yeah, but then they went on a freaking trip not that long after this to go to Knott's Berry Farm as a group. Come on, bro. And this is the thing. I understand that Tammy's family really loves them because that's their family too. So I'm not trying to go crazy on this. I'm just saying all of it is so absurdly bizarre and would make anybody just say, "What the hell are you? What's going on here? You're remarried. You're going on vacations." All of that stuff just by itself would be just unbelievably disrespectful and red flagged to the nines.
And that resulted in Chad calling me.
And please explain to the jury how the conversation went between you and Chad at that point.
I answered. He said, "This is Chad." And he was upset with me and told me I had been a problem for him his whole life. And I asked him, who is this person you've married? And he explained, her name was Lori. Would I like to meet her? And I said, no, I would not.
You've been a problem for me my whole life. Would you like to meet my wife? What the f?
And then I asked him what happened to Tammy. And he said she died of a pulmonary embolism because she had gained 40 pounds.
This piece of shit wants to tell everybody that Tammy died from her weight gain. This right here. Okay.
Now, earlier you've testified that you were seeing Tammy at least in church every week.
Yes.
Had you observed a 40-pound weight gain in Tammy?
I don't generally keep track of people's weight gain or loss, but I had not noticed a big increase in weight gain on Tammy, no.
How did you react to that when he gave that explanation?
I remember being so flustered by that explanation because he had given me a different one weeks before that I was just upset, and he indicated to me, I'm going to be living in Hawaii, so you don't have to worry about me anymore. And that was the end of the conversation.
Did you challenge him on the different explanations in that phone call?
I don't remember challenging him because I was so shocked by that, but I didn't challenge him on that.
Besides the different explanations as to Tammy's death, was there anything else that was shocking you in that conversation?
Just expressing to him, how can you get married this quickly after your wife has just passed away?
Did he give an answer to that?
He said that he had met her about a year before, so he'd known her, and that she had lost a husband to a heart attack.
Yeah, you guys are both bitches. Both of you. Both you and Lori. And, you know, I could go off, but you're bullshit. It's like you guys are the fabric of the lying, right? Like it's this rolls off your tongue. No thought.
And it just was, they were there for each other, and it just worked out that they'd get married.
You mentioned that one of the first things he said in the phone call was to the effect of, you've been a problem for me my whole life.
Yes.
What did you take that to mean?
I said to him, your whole life? I didn't understand what I had done to him his whole life that he would consider me a problem.
Did he explain?
No.
And at that point, why was it that you told him that you didn't want to meet Lori?
Because I was upset that he had remarried weeks after Tammy's sudden passing. It seemed almost cruel for his children.
Anything else of note that you can remember that occurred in that conversation?
He did call me a pot stirrer. I remember that as well. Other than that, I think that's it.
He didn't explain what he meant by that?
I've been called that before by family members.
Yeah, because you're honest. You're honest. You and Kelsey are like that. Just blunt, and you feel that something's weird. Like there's just like you see through his bull. And he hated you for that because you could see that he was just absolutely lying, and you're a pot stirrer because you tell the truth. What a pot stirrer you truly are.
Pot stirrer.
Your Honor, given the time, this might be a normal place to break. I do have several other questions to get into with this witness.
Okay, we will go ahead and take our lunch recess at this time. We're right about noon, so we will try to resume at 1 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for complying with the court. Bell is on the stand in direct. I'll remind the witness that you're still under oath for your testimony. And Mr. Wixom, if you'd like to continue with direct, you may.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, just a quick check-in. How is your throat and your surgery doing? Are you okay?
I'm doing okay. Yeah. Just pardon my scratchy throat.
Okay. Let us know if you need to stop.
So the only reason it's not turned up louder is because my mic and the audio from the court are not really in sync. So the court audio is way louder than me, even though my mic's up as high as it can go. So just so you guys know that.
You drink or need any other rest, okay?
You appreciate it.
Thank you. Ma'am, we finished before lunch, and you were describing what I might call a strained relationship with the Daybell family.
Yes.
Okay. Would it be safe to say that strain has increased since the finding of J.J. Higley on Chad's property?
Yes, I've not spoken to Chad's children since that time.
Now, I want to draw your attention to just a couple of weeks before Tammy passed. Do you recall whether or not Tammy had made a trip to go visit family in Utah?
Yes, I do recall that.
Was there anything about that trip that stood out to you as a concern?
Not so much a concern as that was abnormal. I understood that Tammy didn't like to travel alone, so I thought.
Judge,
that was
I'm going to
abnormal.
object. I need some foundation as to where this knowledge is coming from.
Sustain.
Ma'am, what caused you to believe that Tammy didn't like to travel alone?
That's just what I had been told by other family members.
Judge, I'm going to object. There still needs to be some foundation.
We're happy to move on, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Do you recall, did Chad ever relay or claim that he'd had visions specific for Tammy?
Not directly to me.
So you never heard that from Chad himself?
I don't recall hearing from Chad anything about Tammy as far as visions, no.
Okay. Do you recall what spawned Tammy to make that trip to Utah?
Again, I didn't talk to Tammy about the trip.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. That information would be by way of hearsay.
Sustain.
Your Honor, at this time, if I could ask to be handed state's proposed 420 B through D, which have not been admitted. If I could look at those, please, sir.
You may.
And Judge, can we have a sidebar, please?
Sure.
Skip this. Here we go.
We do, Your Honor.
All right, so exhibits 420, B, C, and D are all admitted.
Judge, at this time, I would request permission to publish those to the jury.
Yes, you may.
It's really hard to see that. Like it doesn't.
Ma'am, I'd
it's
like
hard.
to call your
Is that
attention to
stairs?
what is up on the screen. Can you look at that and explain what you believe that to be?
I believe that to be the staircase going from the downstairs of the home up into the cozy cone area.
And with respect to going up, when you say down into the home, down those stairs, is that the level where the bedrooms are located?
Yes, from my recollection, it goes down. There's a little hallway, it goes into the kitchen, and then the bedrooms are on the other side of the house.
For the record, that was states 420D. Ma'am, I'm going to put up on the screen states 420B as in boy. Can you let the jury know, what does that picture depict?
Musical instruments.
Where are they located?
There's not a lot of reference here other than a floor and a wall. So in context, the cozy cone loft is where they kept the musical instruments as far as I was aware.
So is it fair to say that when you look at this photo, you're not trying to tell the jury that you have a specific memory of this? Is that correct?
I just know that that's where they would keep musical instruments, was up there.
Thank you. For the record, I'm placing on the screen now states 420C.
It's a lot
And
of stuff, man.
what do you see in that photo?
A continuation. There's some musical, looks like musical. I don't know if that's a speaker or what that is, but it looks like it's the musical instruments as well.
And are you able to recognize where those musical instruments are or not?
Again, just with that, the corner of that room in context of what we're looking at, the cozy cone, same carpet and everything.
And Your Honor, I'm done with these exhibits.
Okay.
Thank you. Ma'am, just a couple of more questions. Do you know the name David Hope?
Yes, I do.
How do you know that name?
David Hope is my daughter's father-in-law.
And who is David Hope besides being your daughter's father-in-law?
He is a retired detective for the Rexburg Police Department.
I want to ask, was he working for the Rexburg Police Department back in 2019?
Yes, he was.
Given that, did you ever withdraw that? How often, if at all, did you have interaction with David Hope for family type things?
Rarely. We've had a baby blessing a couple of years ago that we both attended. We went on a camping trip with a bunch of people several summers ago. I don't see him often.
Has there ever been an occasion where you have spoke to David Hope at all about Chad Daybell and the subsequent case that occurred?
I have not talked directly to Dave Hope about this case.
Have you ever attempted to indirectly get information to him about this case?
No.
And then my last line of questions. At some point, well, you've testified that you have been concerned about Chad's teachings, correct?
Yes.
At some point, did you decide to send any kind of letter or document out to members of your stake?
I did. I sent a letter to the 10 Relief Society presidents of the stake.
For the jury's sake, can you kind of explain the relationship that a stake Relief Society president has with ward Relief Society presidents, please?
Yeah, as the stake Relief Society president, you're over in the stake. There were 10 different wards at the time. I am in charge of just keeping track of the Relief Society presidents, if they're doing okay, if they need any support, help. We plan meetings to carry out with them. So I would see them all periodically throughout the year.
Generally speaking, what did you put in that letter? Actually, let's withdraw that. To the best of your recollection, when did you send that letter out?
I have not looked at that letter for a long time, so my recollection is it was during the time period when JJ and Tylee were missing, and I believe Chad was in Hawaii at the time. So beginning of the year 2020.
And on that, how did you first learn about JJ and Tylee being missing?
I'd heard, and I've tried to remember, I can't remember exactly who told me, but that there was going to be, that there were 2 missing kids and we needed to be aware. So law enforcement, I don't remember, it's been a long time, but there were 2 missing kids and that it was going to be hitting the news. So all we were told is just to be aware that that was coming out, just kind of preparing us.
So back to the letter, what was the general subject or object of the letter that you sent out?
Well, again, I haven't read it for a long time, but it was basically because Chad was a relative of mine, you know, stick to the basics of the gospel. And because it appeared Chad had gotten off track. And I do remember putting in there that I had tried to say things to a few people, but I wasn't believed. And so I was having difficulty with that people had believed Chad at church and things, that he was doing everything as he should be doing, and that I was just trying to make things hard for him.
Oh, yeah. No, she's trying to make it worse for Chad, right? That's the thing that pisses me off. If you're in a leadership position, you need to take things more seriously. Do not just brush people off and make it all about get back to this version of the gospel and do it this way and that way. No, you need to listen, because it could be life and death sometimes. You can't just ignore it. And you're in a leadership position, you should understand that you have a responsibility to think, and obviously you can't do a lot, but you need to listen and figure out what you can do. And when someone comes to you with a church issue, you should take it very seriously as a church leader. You can't freaking sweep it under the rug.
So it's something like that I put in the letter.
What was your purpose in sending the letter out? What were you trying to accomplish?
I did have some Relief Society presidents reach out to me concerned that some of their ward members were involved in meetings with Chad and things. So it was, as in a leadership position, trying to, and as a family member, saying, please just be wary of what's been going on.
So as you sit there, can you recall what kinds of things that you were telling people that you feel like you had not been believed on?
As things progressed and Chad got involved in this group preparing a people, I'd kind of follow that and listen to some of the people's experiences that he was associating with. So it was just a lot of trying to interpret dreams and claiming these people could see beyond the veil and just had extra abilities that the rest of us members of the church didn't have.
Do you recall who you were trying to share this with and who you were trying to warn about this?
I would mainly talk with, in the beginning, when I was still in the Ward Relief Society presidency, I would talk with that presidency, those women that I would meet with. And then as I was put in the stake, I did talk once or twice with our state president, and it just, as things progressed and I got more concerned, it was mainly, there were people in the ward, but I was mainly trying to talk to other family members to try to stop what was happening.
What was happening from your perspective?
I was just being told how this preparing of people and this prepping.
Judge, I'm going to object. There's no foundation in its hearsay.
Sustained.
May I argue?
On that answer, it's sustained, Mr. Wixom.
Okay. Do you have any personal knowledge of things that were happening that was causing you to have those concerns?
I was hearing things
But
about,
I'm going to object. It's hearsay.
Rickson.
I'll ask a different question, Judge. Without referencing anything that anybody told you, can you explain the types of things that you'd learned about that were concerning you about what was happening?
Judge, it still constitutes hearsay unless there's some establishment of where the source of this information is coming from.
Judge,
Go ahead, Mr. Rickson.
under 8033, it goes again to her state of mind. I'm asking her to explain her state of mind.
Judge, this has nothing to do with state of mind. This has everything to do with reciting what someone else may have told her.
He's such a, like, he doesn't even let people finish their sentence. Like, I get you're a defense attorney. Shut the fuck up until someone finished talking. Because they can't even say anything until, because you just bust through the second they start. Shut up.
Well, still, the way that question was asked, Mr. Rickson, I don't think 8033 gets around the hearsay issue. So you can continue with another question. It's sustained.
Thank you. So, ma'am, were you personally aware, that is, did you have knowledge, make observations, not hear from other people? Were you personally aware of any situations in your ward or stake that were occurring because of Chad's activity?
again, through other people telling me what was.
Judge, I'm going to object.
We'll withdraw, Judge.
Okay.
Is it fair to say, Ms. Daybell, that as you sent that letter out and did make your efforts,
Judge, I'm going to object. This is leading.
Overruled. Go ahead, Mr. Rickson.
Thank you. Is it fair to say that given you sending the letter out and making those efforts, that has come up at a cost to you and the rest of the Daybell family?
Judge, I'm going to object. Relevance.
Overruled.
Good answer.
There was initially, yes, there was a cost that I was just trying to create problems for Chad.
And I'll ask this question. Did those efforts cause damage to the relationship that you had with the rest of the Daybell family?
Yes, it did.
And is that damage part of the reasons why you no longer talk to his children?
Yes.
She gets in trouble for the cost of being honest and feeling it's wrong and asking questions and being any kind of right, and actually one of the only people asking questions. And she loses all the relationships because she was who she is and she's an honest person and she knew something was wrong and they all hate her for that. Isn't that crazy how this works? You tell the truth about things and people get so angry.
Is that your choice, or would you rather be able to talk to his children and to get along with the family?
Judge, I'm going to object. Relevance.
Sustained.
You're all right. I have no further questions.
All right.
Oh gosh, now we have to listen to this.
Mr. Pryor,
bonehead.
cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh my gosh. I can't, it's getting worse. Every day we have to do this. Every day we have to listen to this. And he's so rude. Like, it's one thing to be an attorney. It's another thing to be just an asshat. Shut up. Let people finish their sentences. You don't have to be ultra aggressive to get your point off. That just makes me feel like you have a little tiny ego over there because you can't even let somebody have that.
Good afternoon.
You initially spoke to Police Officer Mattingly on about February 11th of 2020. Do you remember that?
I do. My memory is hazy because I had just had a surgery and I was still on pain medication. So I don't have as vivid memory of that.
Okay. Well, do you recall your husband was there as well, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So you remember that. Now, do you recall a discussion about concerns you had about Chad and using the Salem church when you discussed that with Officer Mattingly?
I do recall having that concern that he was doing his writings inside the church building.
And you do recall that you told Officer Mattingly that the concern was that he, like you said, he was using the Salem church every day. He was going there almost every single day to use it as a place where he could write whatever he was writing, correct?
I don't recall saying every day, but I would notice his car there often as I had to drive by.
And when you say vehicle, you said car, but it was actually a black Dodge truck, was it not?
I recall more their other vehicle. Tammy drove the truck from my remembering more than Chad did.
Okay. Is that what you remember?
That is.
Don't play with her. She will mess you up.
And what color was the vehicle that Chad was allegedly driving at this church that you would see?
It was a dark color.
Okay. You don't recall telling Officer Mattingly that it was a truck?
I don't recall that. And I remember Tammy driving the truck more than Chad driving.
Okay. Now, you said that Chad started talking about these issues about visions and what you would consider unconventional beliefs. You recall that in 2014?
Yes,
And yet he continued to maintain his membership within the LDS faith, right?
he did.
Okay. And Tammy,
The only reason your LDS membership would be at stake is if you did something very clearly that they went against, or someone said something very, 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 very clearly that you did something. I don't know. But all I know is that he was obviously not telling the LDS church what he was doing. Stupid to try to make that a point.
continued to maintain her relationship within the LDS faith, correct?
Yes,
And even though he was writing these books, he was active in all of the meetings, the necessary callings that come as part of being a member of the LDS faith, correct?
yes,
And in fact, on his particular ward up until 2019, he was a secretary or an undersecretary in a position within the church hierarchy, was he not?
yeah, it's called executive secretary.
Executive secretary.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. And that position would be the position in Fremont County underneath and you're going to need to correct me, okay?
Okay, we'll correct you.
Underneath a bishop of a ward, right?
Yes, technically that's part of the bishopric, the executive secretary,
The bishopric.
which includes the bishop, the 2 counselors.
Okay, so he was a counselor, and a bishop in your faith is someone who has somewhat of a position of prominence. Would that be fair?
Essentially the priesthood leader of the ward. Yes,
The what leader?
priesthood leader.
Priesthood leader of the ward. So when a ward is, again, a ward is a geographic area, and in Fremont County it would be a specific geographic area, like the Salem area has a ward over there somewhere,
Correct.
and then they have a bishop.
Why don't you
Yes.
go do
And that-
some research then? Go Google this.
That's the priesthood leader of that geographic area.
Yes,
And through 2019, Chad Daybell, as a member of the LDS Church, was the executive secretary for that bishop, correct?
yes, he was.
Okay, and that was in spite of the fact that he'd been writing books for 10, 12 years, right?
The books that he had written at that point were not an issue.
Okay, so in 2014, the books became an issue, is that right?
No, in 2014, Julie Rowe's book became the issue that he was publishing.
Okay, and we're moving to an area that I intended to go into because Julie Rowe was one of these people who went around in particular, like 3 particular states, and she preached about preparing the people. Would that be fair?
You could use that phrase. She was not associated with preparing the people, the group
Right.
of people, but yes, that was the purpose of what her books were, to prepare people for what was coming.
Okay, and she spoke primarily to people of the LDS faith. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
In fact, she would put on these conferences, and her primary audience were people who shared the LDS faith. Correct?
No.
Correct.
No.
So was she somehow looked down upon because she was doing this?
By someone such as myself who didn't agree with her book, but there were quite a few people in Rexburg who were listening.
And she was filling conference halls, giving her speeches, was she not?
She filled the tabernacle in Rexburg. Yes.
Damn, come on, people. Come on, please. This woman is so out there and so wrong and is so against your own faith. Like, come on, bro. Please wake up. Please listen. You know that stuff is not real. This woman is such... Oh my gosh. That bothers me. Because you think that they're going to help, they are LDS, they're using that as a pass to slide on other stuff to get you to slowly follow crumbs. I don't like that.
And
It's a conference type center. Yes.
okay, you guessed what I'm saying. So the Tabernacle, that's a big building in Rexburg?
It seats around 2,000 maybe.
Okay, so she was going around preaching to primarily LDS folks about this preparing the people stuff, and she was filling tabernacles
As far as I knew, yes.
and filling other stadiums around people who were primarily members of the LDS faith. Would that be fair?
I don't know if stadiums, but I was aware of the tabernacle in Rexburg. Yeah.
Okay.
Stadiums. Yeah, no, she's filling stadiums.
Okay. And then at some point, Chad met her and he helped publish one of her books. Do you recall that?
My understanding from what he told me was that he reached out to her on a website called Avow.
Okay. Do you know what that Avow thing is? We brought that up before, and then the other witness didn't really understand it. Can you tell me a little bit about Avow?
I never was on it. So from
Okay.
my understanding, it's just a website with like-minded people that have visions and dreams, and they share those experiences, kind of a prepping type of site.
And again, that Avow organization, the little I know about that is again catered to people of the LDS faith. Is that correct?
From my understanding, I've not been on it, but from my understanding, mainly LDS people.
Okay, so this idea of people who have visions and people who can make predictions about certain things, the organization's called Avow, right?
The website's called Avow. Yeah.
And that they would, again, along with Julie Rowe and these people from Avow, would cater predominantly to the people of the LDS faith.
I believe so.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Would it be fair to say that your husband and Chad did not have a very particularly close relationship?
I wouldn't label it that before 2014. Again, we lived in a different state, but I thought they had a good relationship.
So when you were interviewed by Officer Mattingly, and there was a mention of the fact that Chad and Matt were not particularly close, were you basing that on after they moved here, after the Daybells moved here, or was that reference to just in general?
Because that's several years ago, and I don't recall completely. I would say that prior to 2014, it was a normal relationship. It was after 2014 that it became more difficult.
And did I understand your testimony correctly, that when Chad and his family decided to move here, your concern was—
What the hell are you talking about? Kelsey just texted me, "You are Rubby Gus Ryan." What is happening in the chat right now? Who the hell's Rubby Gus? Who's Rubby Gus? Frick dis.
His name's Daybell, right?
Correct.
And the concern is that if Chad moved here and he continued to talk about these preparing the people beliefs and writing his books, that somehow would have an impact on necessarily how your family would be perceived. Would that be fair?
I was concerned, yes, because he had chosen to buy a home in such close proximity to our home and
more like thick as frick, Ryan.
Talked about our land being part of—
You guys are getting me off track. Chill, frick out. You know I have ADHD. Don't play with me.
Whatever was coming. So I just was worried he was going to be expressing that to other people when Matt and I were not in agreement.
Okay. And so you're standing in the community because you did hold a prominent position within the LDS faith at one time. Is that right?
I have been in several leadership positions. When Chad moved into Rexburg, I was, I don't remember when I was called into the Relief Society presidency.
Okay. Would you mind if I said you're the Stake Relief Society president? Does that sound like what you were?
I got that call in 2018.
Okay. And as part of that call, and again, correct me if I misstate something, okay, please?
Mm-hmm.
As a State Relief Society president, oh, that's a stake. I'm sorry, stake, S-T-A-K-E, not state, right?
Correct.
And a stake is basically a bunch of wards that make up a stake. In other words, there could be 10, 15 wards that make up a stake area.
I'm gonna go crazy if he does not get to the point. I'm gonna go crazy if he does not hurry up and get to something important.
Correct?
Correct.
And you were overseeing something called the Henry's Fork stake. Is that what you were involved in?
Yes, that's the name of that stake.
And in that Henry's Fork stake, there are, is it 2,000 or 3,000 people or families?
I'm not sure. I just know that there were 10 wards. So, and there's typically 200 to 300 per ward, depending on the ward.
Is that families or is that people in each ward?
I would say people.
200 to 300 people in each ward?
I was only over the women and the presidents of the Relief Society. So I didn't keep count of
The number of women? Families.
I was mainly in charge of the 10 Relief Society presidents and their teaching of their sisters that they were over.
So the 10 Relief Society were the people that were overseeing the individual wards and you oversaw them, right?
That's correct.
So you were the head of the stake with these 10 women who were in charge of each of the individual wards.
Yes.
So you had all of their email addresses to communicate with them. Would that be fair?
Yes, I did have access to everyone's emails.
And if I understand the way the hierarchy works, and again, correct me if I make a mistake. This is all new to me.
She's not your friend and she doesn't like you. So why do you think she's going to help you?
When you're trying to communicate with the people within your stake, the process would be you would send an email out to the individual ward, the society ward presidents, and they would in turn send it out to their individual members within their wards.
Correct.
So they know that, and you carried a position of authority here. Let's not kid around. You were in a relatively strong position of authority, right?
When were you kidding around?
I wouldn't use authority, but yes, I was in a position over for the stake.
And then, and of that stake, there's a president of the stake. That's a that's a male position or that's assigned to a male member of
The
the
stake president, yes, is male.
and the president of that stake, the Henry's Fork stake back in 2019, 2020 would be who?
Judge, at this point, I would object as
Thank
to
you.
relevance of this line of questioning.
Damn.
Sustained.
Do you have a distinct recollection of the email that you sent out to the individual ward president, the high society ward presidents? Do you have a clear recollection of what was in that letter?
Again, I haven't read that letter for
Okay.
several years, so I
Would it be helpful if I provided you a copy of the letter that you could read for me to refresh your recollection? Then we could talk about that.
Maybe if you're
Mr.
going to
Bailiff,
get to the
And I
point.
want to warn you that I'm computer illiterate, so it's on double page. So it's on one page, back page, 3, 4. Okay. And take your time to read that if you would for me, please.
Thank you. Gosh, that took for. What is the point?
I'm sorry, I don't have my reading glasses.
And I don't either. So if I can get some, I'd get them to you. Judge, can we take a break and let her get her reading glasses?
Do you have those here with you somewhere?
They're in my purse in the room that I was in.
Okay.
If he does not make, he has no point here. So he's going to try to make her look like she was an authoritarian person. She could have done something or this and that. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't understand. I'll never understand.
And then neither one of us would have been able to read if she's been able
Don't
to
laugh.
review that now. Mr. Pryor, if you'd like to continue with cross, you may.
Now, my understanding is you started out the letter by saying to sweet friends, right? To my sweet friends. You recall reading that?
Mhm.
And then the first line was, I am forwarding an email.
Objection, Your Honor. This letter has not been admitted into evidence.
Sustained.
Bye-bye.
Do you recall what you wrote as the first sentence?
Just like my
to the-
little 1-year-old son says, bah, bah.
The email that you sent out on August 12th of 2020?
So the first thing I noticed on there is that is not the date that I believe I sent that out. That heading was changed by
Okay.
the person that forwarded that on to her
Okay.
sisters.
But you will agree that this email was the email that you sent out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a recollection of what the first sentence that you included in that email, what you stated in the first sentence?
So I quickly read through it. I didn't memorize it, so I
Okay.
don't remember the
Judge,
first
then I'd
line.
have, and we can do this, Judge, or I can, if Mr. Wixom wants to do it this way, I'll have to hand it to her each time and do that, or I can read this and ask her if she recalls.
To your cross, Mr. Pryor.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bailiff, would you provide her the letter then?
This is the most
And ma'am, I just need you to take the letter, read the first sentence.
nonsense. Nonsense.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is not an admitted exhibit. She can use this document for refreshment.
And Judge, I'm asking her to refresh her recollection, put the letter down, then I'm going to ask her about the first sentence.
Not sustained. Block that.
If it's for refreshing recollection, she can do that. So, Mr. Pryor, just direct a question and
Okay.
I'll ask, you can inquire as to whether or not she's refreshed her recollection.
Ma'am, have you read the first sentence? Don't read it out loud, but
Yes, I
okay.
have.
Would you turn it over for me?
Hold on.
He's getting
Now, would
away
you tell me
with
what you
it.
wrote as the very first sentence on that document?
That am forwarding on an email that President Dowling asked me to forward on.
So you're forwarding an email at the request of President Dowling. Is that what you wrote in the first sentence of your email?
Yes.
Okay. So again, tell me who President Dowling is.
He is the stake president of the Henry's Fork stake.
Okay. And that means he oversees the number of wards that have the 10 individual ward bishops. Is that right?
Objection as to relevance, Your Honor.
Yes, yes.
Right. So then you mentioned that you called in your email
I'm just
that
kidding.
he asked you to do this.
He asked me to forward on the talk that's referenced
Okay.
in the email. So I forwarded that on and then I added my own
Okay.
thoughts.
Right. And that's what I was trying to clarify.
Mhm.
It appeared that what President Dowling was asking you to do is forward a discussion, a religious discussion that you had somehow located or found or heard.
He sent a talk to me that
Okay.
he asked me to forward on to the Relief Society presidents.
Okay.
And in doing that, I created my own email with my own thoughts referencing the situation that we were in and the talk that
Okay.
President Dowling wanted
And
passed
then
on.
as part of what you forwarded on, aside from the religious reference that the president had asked you to discuss with these the people you sent it to, you took it upon yourself to put in some information that you felt you wanted to clear up before when you sent this email out. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay. And in the email, would you turn to page 2 of that email? And I'm going to ask you to, do you have a recollection of what you put on specifically on page 2 of the email?
It's a full page.
Okay.
single
I'd
space.
like you to refresh your recollection with the very first sentence starting with I have. And then when you're done, just turn it down after you're done refreshing.
Do you know which paragraph you're referring
First,
to?
the very first paragraph, ma'am, but don't read it. Just refresh your recollection and then put it down.
That would confuse. Don't read it.
Okay.
Okay. You talked about you having firsthand knowledge about the details that have been going on for a while. Is that correct?
Concerning Chad and his beliefs, yes.
Okay. Now, you previously mentioned that you have a brother-in-law that's Dave Hope. Is that right? That was done through the prosecutor's examination of you. The name Dave Hope came up, correct?
He is my daughter's father-in-law.
Okay, your daughter's father-in-law. And you're aware that he's a detective and he was involved in this case, correct?
I am aware, yes.
So I can't imagine that your firsthand knowledge came from Dave Hope, did it?
It did not.
Okay.
And that's not what I'm referencing. I'm referencing her firsthand knowledge of the beliefs that Chad had,
Okay.
because he spoke those to me. I wasn't referencing
Okay.
the investigation.
And then you went on through that email to talk a little bit about what your personal opinion is about Chad Daybell. Would that be fair?
That's fair.
Okay. And then from what I understand, when you sent this email out, and this was somewhere in August of 2020, correct?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the actual date because this was sent later on. This particular person
Okay.
held on to it for a while.
And I don't want you to read the name, but if you could refresh your recollection of where it says from, don't tell me the name, but if you could, on the first page, at the very top, it says from, and there's a name. Just if you would refresh your recollection and then put that down. You know the person, and I don't want you to name the person, but you know the person who forwarded this on to some other folks as well, right?
Yes.
And is that person one of these Relief Society ward people?
She was the Relief Society president of this ward, which is also
You know
my
what I
ward.
don't like?
Okay, so-
I don't like that he asks for information. You get the information, and then you act like you never heard it. She just explained it to you because you went into extensive detail asking her for these things. Come on now.
Well, the way she got this email was that as the ward Relief Society president, she got the email from you, and then it appears that she disseminated it out to the people within her ward. Would that be fair?
Yes, I sent that email to 10 women and then left it up to them if they shared that with
Right.
their sisters. Yeah.
And you don't know whether all 10 of them president shared it with their sisters, but it appears in this particular case in what would be Chad Daybell's ward that it was shared with.
Objection. Counsel's testifying, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Would it appear from the email that it was shared with all of the members of the sisters within within Chad Daybell's ward?
Objection calls for speculation.
Look, he's turning his head every time. It's a thing.
Sustain.
Watch.
Okay.
Ask a question.
Your Honor.
Watch
Sustain.
this. Watch his head.
Would it appear from the email that it was shared with all of the members of the sisters within within Chad
He does this every time like he's slaying it.
Daybell's ward?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustain.
Yeah, no. And you did that with all the ward people, right? Yeah, she said that a million times. Yes, I could go back and tell you how many times she has explained that what she did. She sent an email to 10 people who were in positions of church power, in a sense, that could get that word out about the teachings to make sure that no one else followed Chad. And I don't know what else we need to go over.
Okay. In any event, it was your decision to share it with the individual ward Relief Society folks, and then it would be up to them whether they decided to share it with the rest of the female members of their wards. Would that be fair?
Yes, I sent it to
Okay.
10 of them and left it up to their discretion.
Okay. And in addition to the 10 society ward presidents, there's also mentioned
Society
Henry's
ward.
folks.
You know it's not society ward. You are just being a prick on purpose. This must be a game. This is a game to you because you know exactly what it is.
Stake Bayesh. Ooh, you're going to kill me. You can tell me what that is. Bayesh Bishopric?
Bishopric.
Bishopric?
Bias. He's. Come on, dog. Come on now. You've heard this from all these people. They were all LDS. You've heard this stuff 100,000 times.
And those are the executive secretaries?
So the bishopric is the bishop, his two
Bias.
counselors,
Okay.
executive secretary, and there's other
Come
clerks and
on,
things.
bro.
And then high counselors, what is that?
They work, there's 12 high counselors that work directly with the state presidency.
Okay, so that this was all part of this discussion with President Dowling, and this encouragement to send this email out was also along with the bishoprics, right?
So
Discussions?
the talk that President Dowling is referencing, wanting forwarded on, he asked that same
can't,
talk be
bro.
forwarded to all of these other organizations as well.
Okay,
So they did not receive my email. They received through their leadership
My
to their
gosh,
organization.
I cannot, dude. I'm losing it with this line of questioning. Please, someone stop this madness. Stop it today. Stop it now.
And then elder quorum presidencies. What's that?
Objection is to the line of questioning the relevance, Your Honor.
It's sustained.
And would it be fair to say that there were a number of organizations within the stake president that had input about what the talk was and that who you were to send it to? Would that be fair?
That's what I took that from the email for President Dowling, is he wanted that particular talk sent to, through those organizations' presidents, have that talk sent out.
Okay. And you referenced young women presidencies and primary presidencies as well as the others I mentioned as well,
He
right?
asked all of the
So
organizations
they were part and parcel of that as well, correct?
of the talk by Elder Corbridge.
Mr. Pryor, you are cutting her off almost every answer. Please wait for her to finish her
Thank
response
you.
before you ask another question.
Thank you, bro. He can't even. Oh my gosh.
Okay, thank you, Judge. And then you did mention in that you would like to add some of your own thoughts as well, correct?
Correct.
So when you decided to send out this religious, would it be fair, a religious instruction or religious teaching? Would that be what it would be discussed in this email?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So in addition to sending out this religious instruction to all of these folks, you decided to inject your own personal opinion about Chad Daybell, correct?
I did, because this was my community. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Pryor, please stop cutting the witness off. You're doing it with nearly every response.
And in addition to this email that you sent out, you were never really happy about Chad and Tammy moving here, correct?
I wasn't happy with Chad moving to Rexburg.
So you wouldn't have had any trouble with Tammy here as long as she left Chad at home, right?
As I said before, had they,
Certain thing. So you wouldn't have had any issue with that if you would have let Chad at home, correct? Freaking turn your head around like an owl for entertainment here, because I'm so bored with your line of questioning. It's so stupid.
been moved in and been somewhere further away, or if they just wanted to move to Rexburg, just for a new start, no problem with that. It was
Okay.
because I knew what he was coming with. Because I knew what he was coming, his purpose in Rexburg was.
And that would have reflected poorly on you because of your last name, correct?
Yes, there's only 2 Daybell families in Rexburg.
And then in addition, the reason for complaining about Chad parking a vehicle up at the church, at the Salem church, and using the Salem church as his place to write and study every single day.
Objection, counsel's testifying, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So you did also complain about Chad using the church for his personal study habits, correct?
They weren't his study habits. He was writing.
Okay.
That's his profession. So in the church buildings are not to be used for professional purposes. So that was my issue.
Okay. And as part of your job as the stake high society president, you're supposed to enforce those rules.
It's not the high society of people getting together with collars and powdered wigs, okay? It's not the high society. She has said it so many times to you directly. You cannot be serious with this. You are just absolutely, you just do not care. That has to be what it is.
The church up there, right?
It's not a high society. It's a relief society.
Relief Society. Sorry.
That was
And what did he call the bishop? I don't even
it's
remember.
not something I was using my position for. That was my observations that he was using the building for his writing purposes.
Okay. And then lastly, you mentioned that some of the family members referred to you as a pot stirrer.
Yes, they did.
Would that be the children, the Daybell children, Chad's
No.
children?
That was not Chad's children.
It was other family
It
members?
was my father-in-law.
Okay. And that
Chad.
Chad's father?
Mhm.
And he referred to you as a pot stirrer?
Yes, when Matt and I would
Oh.
approach him with concerns of what Chad was teaching and involved in, he'd say, leave it alone. You're being a pot stirrer.
And what do you,
Oh yeah, no. So just let Chad be a psychopath. He's not hurting anybody, right? He's just an innocent guy talking about this crazy stuff. Don't stir the pot now. Don't disturb the peace here.
define a pot stirrer as?
Objection, relevance,
Yeah,
Your Honor.
thank you.
Overruled.
What do you
Oh.
define a pot stirrer as?
It's a negative connotation to someone who's involving themselves in something that they don't need to worry about.
Okay. And would it also be someone who's sticking their nose in somebody else's business they shouldn't be? Would you agree with that?
I would say that it was my business because this is my community and my neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm
And you
talking
moved
in
into
general,
it.
a pot stirrer is someone who likes to stick their nose in other people's business. Would you agree with that?
No. That's not how I deserve you. That's the whole point is you're stirring stuff. You're causing a ruckus. You're starting something that they don't like.
Sure.
Okay. Judge, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Don't come back. Do not come back.
Your Wixom redirect.
Not the high society. And the Bishrick, whatever he called it.
Ma'am, you were just asked several questions about Chad's role as an executive secretary in the ward.
Yes.
And you explained that that is part of a priesthood leadership inside of a ward.
Yeah, it has to be a priesthood holder to have that calling.
Is it fair to say that someone who might be carrying on an adulterous relationship would not be, Judge, we have a stipulation.
Let me have a sidebar with counsel.
Get him, bro. Thank you, get him. Oh, he don't want to look at her. Yeah, typing on your laptop. There's nothing going on over there.
All right, thanks for your patience, everyone. While we had that sidebar to discuss an evidentiary matter, Mr. Wixom, if you'd like to we stopped in the middle of the question, either re-ask the question or a new question, and if there's an objection, I'll make a ruling.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, is it consistent for an executive secretary to be engaging in an adulterous relationship?
Boom! Sorry,
the objection's overruled.
all my earphone users. Sorry, I screamed that one.
Having an affair is not conducive to having that calling, no.
So in fact, would someone who, if the church became aware of that, would they normally become subject to church discipline?
Yes, correct.
And at some point you became aware that Higley and JJ had been found on Chad's property.
Yes.
Into the microphone, please, Mr. Pryor.
Judge, this is going beyond the scope.
Overruled.
Will you please answer for the
Yes, I was aware.
At the time that they were discovered on his property, was Chad serving as the executive secretary?
I am not sure at that point because he had left, had gone to Hawaii. So I'm not sure. I don't recall.
Do you recall if he was serving in that capacity when he married Lori Daybell?
You know what's even
I believe so.
crazier that I never have talked about yet that I just thought of? So when you go to Kauai specifically, I think there's 2 wards at all. One of them being on the north side and then one on the south side. Or like more, yeah, I think it's technically called the south side. And in the north side, where they were in Princeville, where our family lived, that's why Lori took him there, was a very, very small, they didn't call it a ward, it was called a branch. And that branch was so tiny that I don't think it had more than 30 members, and everyone else who came was like a visitor every week, or people who were just interested in seeing what the LDS church was. So when they went there to church, I can't imagine what everyone was thinking, because when we left, we had an entire family, and then Lori only comes back, and it's just her with a new guy. Absolutely insane. And then everyone must have known the news because it was everywhere. Remember, there were Where Are Tylee and JJ surfboards and signs everywhere.
So
You were asked a number of questions about Julie Rowe.
yes,
Are you aware of whether or not Julie Rowe has been excommunicated from the church?
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. Foundation, relevance.
I'll sustain it on relevance grounds.
You were concerned about Chad's association with Julie Rowe, is that correct?
I was.
And why were you concerned about that relationship?
Again, because of what was contained in the book that he was publishing for her. And when I did observe them together, it was concerning to me, their personal relationship.
What do you mean by that?
Judge, this is going beyond the scope.
Overruled.
They seemed particularly close. He brought her to my home on one occasion, and it made a few of us uncomfortable, myself uncomfortable.
Speaking for yourself only, what do you mean by they were particularly close? Can you explain your observations?
What I observed, he brought her to our home to show her our land, and it goes back to a river. And so they walked along this land, went back to the river. What I observed was that Chad and Julie were communicating very close to each other, and Tammy and her children were kind of following behind. It made me feel bad for Tammy that Chad appeared so close to Julie.
Oh, no.
Was there anything else?
No, not Julie Rowe and Chad.
You observed in that relationship that was making you uncomfortable?
That's the only time I saw Julie Rowe in person.
You were asked about your personal opinion of Chad as it related to that letter. Remember that question?
Yes.
As you sit there today, what is your personal opinion of Chad Daybell?
Judge, I'm going to object relevance.
Sustained.
What was your personal opinion of Chad Daybell at the time that you wrote the letter?
That he
Get him.
was a very misguided person and had gotten himself involved in relationships that were not appropriate and was affecting other people in that process.
When you say relationships with other people, do you mean anybody besides, well, who do you mean by that?
At the time, I was, like I just mentioned, his relationship with Julie Rowe, and then as I heard about Lori Vallow.
I'm telling you, I told you, this man wanted to be with someone else so badly. He wanted some other woman in his life, or whatever his whole goal was, just to have someone else. That's how desperate he was.
You were asked questions about your observation of Chad's use of a church building for business writing.
Yes,
You were asked a question about your role in that situation.
yes.
As a stake leader, is it something that might be expected if you see something done that is against church policy to alert other leaders?
Yeah.
Is that part of why you had that concern?
It wasn't so much the calling I had. It was just that I knew Chad, I knew his vehicle, and I knew what he was doing in the church building.
In answering a question about being a pot stirrer, you talked about your father-in-law.
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury at what point did you confront your father-in-law when he called you a pot stirrer?
There were several occasions that Matt and I both would let him know of our concerns about what Chad was participating in. And
you didn't listen. See, that's the thing. Imagine being that person telling everyone that you're seeing all this weird behavior. Nothing of what you see makes sense, and everybody around you makes you think you're crazy.
most of the time, the response was just don't worry about it.
Did he ever use the word pot stirrer to you?
We were talking in a circle out in our driveway at my home, and we were talking about it, and don't be a pot stirrer.
I'll stir your pot. I'll stir your pot quicker than a hurry. You ever seen freaking Creed 2? Su-su-su! How about that? That's what you need. A smack upside the head, too.
Do you remember when that particular conversation occurred?
This would, that would probably be 2015, 2016, somewhere in there.
So that was before the issues with missing children and Lori came up, correct?
Correct.
So what were you specifically confronting the family about with respect to Chad at that time?
My hope was that if his father had said something to him and showed some concern that these teachings and his beliefs were getting off track from the LDS mainstream beliefs, that he would maybe listen to his dad.
Thank you. She's the only rational one. Oh my gosh. That just shows you that everybody wanted to ignore it. And then people started to be killed.
Did you ever, either his father or other family members were addressing this with Chad?
Objection, Foundation.
Sustained.
Based on any personal observation that you made, anything that you saw or heard yourself, without stating what you heard, did you ever get any feeling or feedback that any of the other family was addressing these things with Chad?
Judge, again, objection sustained. It's just another way of trying to get in hearsay.
I'll agree. It's sustained.
Was that the last time that he had called you a pot stirrer?
Using those exact words, yes. He didn't use those words again.
Was there ever any other time where he was using similar words and expressing a similar type feeling towards you?
Not directly to me, but to my husband.
Back to the letter that you sent out, there was a portion that has been referenced that you included in the letter expressing some of your own feelings about the situation with Chad.
Yes.
Would you, again, just reiterate to the jury what were the concerns you had when you included that language?
Again, it's difficult. The original date of that email is not on there. It's been changed. So I'm assuming that this is after the children are found. I don't have the exact date.
Just answer based on your understanding, ma'am.
I'm assuming that's when I sent that out was after the kids were found. And I think it's very obvious and apparent what my concerns would be with the tragedies that had come with who Chad was involved with.
And I don't intend to be flippant, but in case it's not quite obvious, would you just reiterate or elaborate on that?
The tragedies?
the concerns.
The
were.
concerns, children being found in Chad's backyard was a deep, deep concern. Tammy's death was a concern, and Chad's involvement in those deaths.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right.
All right, guys. A few things to go over with you. Real quick, thank you guys for being here. You will not believe who's next, by the way. The next people who are up is Melanie Boudreau and Ian Pulowski. So it would technically be Melanie Pulowski. They are next, and they're who are we going to be starting with on Monday of this next week. Now, I know we're getting into the Christmas time, but you guys know on the 15th, we are doing a giveaway for the community and for everyone. I'm going to let you also know if we have a video coming up very soon about something else, and it will be something I would really hope you guys are there for so we can have a conversation. And I'll give you more context of what that is. Other than that, I love you guys, appreciate you, am very grateful for all of you, and I'm glad to have such a love and support while watching these things. Thank you, because you are being like family for me, and you're helping me work through a lot of my thoughts, and thank you for just letting me vent the way I feel in the moment. That's just all it is. But other than that, I'm so grateful for you guys and cannot wait to share some more with you. But coming up Monday, like I said, if you can see right here, it's right here. He's next. So Ian and Melanie are both coming up next. But I'll see you guys soon, and thank you, and be looking for everything on Monday. I also want to say one last thing. I never want Tammy or Charles to get swept under the rug, because I know how hard it is when we have heard about what has happened with Higley and JJ, but I just never want that to ever go away. So I just never want them to be byproducts or less important, because they're not. So love you guys, and I'll see you soon.